Howdy y'all. How you doing on this fine day? Get the housekeeping out of the way. Rozzy Piccolo. I've forgotten the shave number. The Carter Hall. So, I have a question to ask you fine folks out there in the YTPC. What is the best way to rehydrate tobacco? I've seen a bunch of videos, a bunch of different recommendations. And to be fair, there are several things I would be willing to try. I just want your opinions. I was given a batch of tobacco, pouch tobacco, that's approximately 15 years old. And some of it's really, really dry and needs to be rehydrated. I got a little tiny bit of Borkum Riff, number 8. Got a pouch of Borkum Riff Original, which is crispy. It is really, really crispy. I don't know if y'all can hear that noise, but it's rain. And then, I'm not even sure what this stuff's called here. It's Scandinavic. Full aromatic. It's dry also. And then I got this stuff. It's called Troost. Never tried it. And it's not crunchy dry, but it's dry. It's just shy of being crunchy. And then the last one, which is actually moist enough to smoke, is Aaron Brog. So, if y'all don't mind, drop down in the comments, shoot me a little bit of advice what to do with this stuff. And the answer isn't throw it away. Let's see. So I do have another thing here. When you all were young, kids, teenagers, what'd you do in the summer? Well, below the age of 10, play in the woods, rode a bike, would vanish all day with friends, hike / walk 2-3 miles to my nearest friend's house. Me and him, his brothers, then would hike into the middle of the woods, crossing property lines, going through cow pastures, just to go for a swim. Or get shocked by an electric fence, or in some cases get hit by a swarm of bees. I think that was our fault though. There was a nest in a tree and we could see the nest because the tree was rotten, and one of us got the bright idea to get a big giant stick, got all 4 of us on, picked it up and used it like a battering ram. Went right through the hive and out the other side. Blew a hole clean through that rotten tree. We ran for dear life and jumped in the creek and got lit up a bunch. The one younger brother, he had longer hair than the rest of us, and the bees got in his hair. So after he jumped in the creek, we had to spread his hair and pick the bees out. He got hit pretty good 4 or 5 times on the top of his head. And after 10 years old, I guess technically before 10 years old, there was a few other things. Getting dropped off at the grandparents' house and messing around there. And after 10 years old, on the weekends, that was at my mom's house, I would typically either be grocery shopping, playing in the woods, or at a grandparent's house where she did something. On the days or the weekends that I was with my dad's, which I tried to make every weekend. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. If he had to work, he couldn't pick me up on Friday. That kind of thing. On those weekends, it was, going out and riding four-wheelers, playing in the woods, tending to cows, fixing fence. Well, when summer would roll around, I would spend as much time as I could down there in the summer. And in the summer, after 10 years old, it was about making money. Wake up, do my chores, feed the cows, water the cows, go out, fix fence. And then go to one, ride a bike, take a four-wheeler, go to one of the neighbor's house, throw hay, fix fence, do something involving tobacco. Whether it be hoeing tobacco or cutting tobacco or hanging tobacco. It was involved in almost every process except stripping at some point or another. And then for a kid, it paid good money. It paid good money all the way up into my teenage years. My late teen years. But nowadays, the tobacco industry, for example, around here is dead. So kids these days don't have the opportunity to go to tobacco work. Well, who I've seen doing hay work, they tend to be beat before noon hits. And about half of them get sick. I guess it's just they're not used to the heat. And now as an adult who's in my mid-40s, I think. I honestly don't know because I don't count, but I believe that's what it is. I don't deal well with heat myself. But that didn't start happening until I was in my late 30s, early 40s. Where heat started to be a real big problem. Oh no, I'm just rambling. You guys have a good one. If you have any stories about summertime adventures, drop those. Any advice on how to rehydrate those tobaccos, drop that too. Alright, thank y'all. You have a good one.